saga continues. So I went out yesterday for another test after fixing the earth on the battery, which solved my cutting out issue every time I hit chop, but it was still surging and it was laying over at wide open throttle. So we've got the 3 litre guru of the Gold Coast here, Mr. Zerk. You want to run us through what you found on it?
Basically, the VST wasn't getting full earth from the ECU, so as it was trying to drop down, it was only, getting 10 volts because the earth was terrible. We relayed that off the ignition, and now we've got good voltage, and we'll go test it.
Chris ran his multimeter on it. I was only getting 10 volts to the VST, and there was back current running through the earth as well. So he's hooked up a relay, and we're getting 13 volts. 13 volts at the VST. That should mean it's keeping power to the ECU and everything as it's meant to. I can't speak highly enough for mates like Chris that come to the rescue and help me. If there's any single mums out there with broken toys in their top bedside table drawer that need fixing, this is the guy to fix it.
Can we fix it for the builder? Yes, we can!
shit ton better than what it has been. What we've picked up is we had a look at the gauge on the back of the motor there, and it's losing fuel pressure, and it's leaning out. Like Chris said, he could hear it lean popping through the slide front intake there, and I sat at the back and watched the lift pump gauge, and it was slowly decreasing. As soon as we got to that 70-75 mile an hour testing numbers, whether we did that or not, it's leaning out. So we're either gonna test deleting the lift pump and go back to the standard factory diaphragm pump, or we're just going to delete the VST pump altogether and put on like a Bosch 044 or something of that nature. Very happy that we've made improvements from all the crap that I've been dealing with. We'll let you know where we go from here. Another successful mission and a step forward in the right direction and not backwards for once. Phew, phew.
Oi, as you coming in, just make all those waves for the sunken jet ski. They're just killing you going, oh.
The next day.
We thought we were on top of the 3-litre issues here. We eliminated my low pressure fuel pump. We just went back to the original style with the primer bulb, which then goes up to your diaphragm pump and then into the VST. As you'll see from footage yesterday, I went out with Max, who took his Talon out. I thought I would have had this knocked on the head and would have seen some really good numbers after fixing all those changes. The TPS sync was out, the voltage was out with the ECU. Once we sorted all those issues out, I really thought we were going to get on top of things. As soon as I got to 75 mile an hour, this thing would just fall on its face. It would stop revving, it'd stop. Well, it wouldn't pull any more revs. It'd just get to 5,000 and just sit there on like a limit. The motor didn't really make a different noise as to when we heard the other day it it lean popping. It had a few moments there where it would edge and pick up and gain some speed significantly, and then just lay over and then peter out and then just sit at that one speed again. So what I'm going to do is we're going to piss off this VST. I'm going to piss off the primer bulb, and I've gone and got myself like a Bosch 044 fuel pump. We've got ourselves an EFI fuel regulator, so we're just going to eliminate that, and we're going to, as you would on a high performance car or vehicle of such, we'll run the external fuel pump and eliminate this VST. We'll see if we make any improvements there. I'll try to get a few clips as to me eliminating this, and once the new one's set up, I'll run you through how the new system will be set up, get it ready for our next test. It's taken all day. It's taken some money thrown at it, but we've deleted the VST pump, and I'll show you the setup that I've hooked up. We've got ourselves a new Bosch 044 pump, and I've deleted my fuel filter that used to be up there of the pickup, so now it just goes straight to my filter fuel water separator. That will come down, it feeds into the 044 pump here, which it then comes up, and I have a 10 micron fuel filter here also, and then that goes around up to the motor, and it feeds into fuel rail where the injectors are in the slide front here. I didn't want to make a hard turn pipe here because it was kinking, so this one's your inlet into the regulator, and then the regulator goes down here, and then I've just drilled a hole in the top of my filler cap here, and there's probably like 400 mil or so that goes down into the tank, so it's not just at the cap. We still have our map sensor here hooked up. We've got our vacuum line for the top of the fuel regulator here, but that map sensor has a little vacuum line, so that's still hooked up there, and then I've just plugged up that bottom one because that no longer gets used. It's a pretty noisy pump, but I'll give you a listen. And now I'm just setting the fuel pressure here to about 42 psi, so that's spot on there. But I'll run it up on the muffs, and I'll make sure that that doesn't drop at all and adjust it accordingly. We've made it down to the ramp before it's got dark. It's probably an hour or so of sunlight left. We'll go for a run and see if we've made an improvement. If not, we'll keep trying, but it'll be an expensive adventure.
Good?
No, saying I've just spent $1,000.
No.
It's got to be a computer or something.
Well,
Just gets to 70 miles an hour and just back here. Just stays there. Perfect weather for it.
oh, bro, there was no way. I didn't give a f*** how I was getting on the water. I said, dude, come pick me up. I'm f***ing getting dropped down. I just want to be f***ing near the water. Hang on, bro.
All right.
See you, bro.
Here we are again. after the other day when I took the boat out with the new fuel system. Still ran into problems. Got to that 70-mile-an-hour mark and boat just falls on its face. All I can presume is maybe the ECU or ignition pack hitting some sort of protection mode or guardian mode, or who knows, maybe they're faulty. So our next step is I've managed to get a couple of packs off another friend's boat, so we're going to slap them on and get them ready to try, and we'll have another crack. 2 packs swapped over now. I've got the motor hooked up to the muffs. I'm going to turn the water on now, and we'll kick it in the guts and see if it does something.
One week later.
We've got down to the boat ramp. It's been another week and it's the weekend, and I've swapped the ECU and ignition packs out and we're about to test it. So see if we could turn this frown upside down and the boat does what it's meant to. And either way, it's a total glass out, so even if it doesn't do its thing, we just have to remind ourselves that there's someone else out there that wishes they were doing what you were doing and had what you had. So just enjoy the day for what it is and we'll go from there. Still doing it. Don't know what it is. From that quick run, dropping in this morning, no luck. I mean, we put the new ECU and ignition packs on the motor, got out there, bang on the money like clockwork, 70 mile per hour, just hits a wall and wouldn't do anything. So, yeah, feeling pretty defeated, but I'm here at home. I pop the engine cover off, go over things again. What I did find was my map sensor. It has a vacuum line. So this is my map sensor here. You can see there's a vacuum line behind it that runs off the intake. Since I put that new fuel system on, when I zip tied that map sensor back on, it was zip tied up here at the front, and map sensor vacuum line had a kink in it. So not sure, but I've since repositioned the map sensor so it has a straight travel route for that vacuum line. It has no kink in it. Another thing that I've done is I've dropped my engine height. Dropped my engine height 20 mil. So whether or not this standard nose cone box, possibly did I have the motor too high? Was it aerating, which in turn was not giving it enough water pressure, which could throw a code or a sensor? I'm not sure. I do have my engine temperature warning sensor light hooked up, but that never came on. But whether or not within the computer or the ECU system it's throwing a code before the light actually activates, who knows. So I've gone ahead and dropped the motor 20 mil just to ensure that it's deeper in the water and it is picking up the correct amount of volume that it should be pumping. I've since changed the 28 pitch Masco prop to this one here. It's the 4-blade 15 inch. You can see it's a really big prop. It's almost touching the cav plate. That prop will be better suited to running deeper in the water. I've readjusted my steering cables so they're all nice and tight as they should be. And yeah, let's go test again. But it seems that I use more fuel driving to and from the boat ramp these days than I do in the boat. We're running on fumes, but we're still going. So next time you see me, I'll be at the ramp and we'll try it again with these changes. Here we are, same day, different boat ramp. We've just dropped in the Narang River. It's a bit closer to home. Let's see if that vacuum line or dropping the motor makes a difference. So as you've seen in that test there, barely scraping 70 mile an hour, but I've picked up RPM. I was unsure to know whether it was still doing the same thing. It didn't feel as though I was hitting a wall as much. I was pulling 5,250 or 5,300 RPM. My speed was limited to like 67, 70 mile an hour, which is the same sort of numbers where I'm experiencing that problem. Maybe I need to, the boat just feels different with this prop on. It does feel like when I get up around that speed that it is going to blow out. The boat becomes a bit unsteady as to what I'm used to. I did drop the motor 20 mil, so that would affect the performance of the boat. But in hindsight, I really need to put that 28 pitch chopper back on, because that's where I have my comfort and feel for the boat and whether or not it's still hitting that wall or not. My friend Chris does have a scan tool, which he was hoping to get soon. So we might hook the scan tool up and just see what the codes are reading, and I will put that 28 pitch chopper back on, that Mazco chopper. So I was pulling about 4,800 RPM with that 28 pitch chopper on. So if I put that on and we pull more RPM and I don't hit that wall, I don't know at this stage. It's just the performance of the boat's changed since I've lowered the motor and put that different prop on. But I am pulling more RPM, but it'd be hard to say, but I definitely want to get that scan tool and hook it up. Another behind the scenes update, that I'm going to replace my steel reeds here with some carbon ones. The only thing is, the only ones my friend had available for me are these 7 pedals, but they're actually what they run in the F1 boats. And as you can see from the 3 litre, they're 6 pedal. So I'm gonna have to cut one of these off, and they just don't fit perfectly. If I get the 2 middle holes lined up, it's ever so slightly here on the edges where there's the most minuscule bit of light getting through there. We'll close that up as close as we can and modify these 7 pedals to suit the 3 litre 6 pedal. Then I'm yet to take the injection system off the front of the motor and put the reeds in as well. They're not 100% perfect, but they're pretty good. Turned out alright. A little bit in the corners, but very minimal. I'd rather have these in the engine that they're 99% good, not 100, but I'd rather eat a carbon reed than a steel one, so that'll save the motor. Update after update. We've got the gearbox off. I'm extremely grateful to one of my viewers down in Tasmania, Shane. He's really helped me troubleshoot the boat. What you don't know, but I will show you, is we found out the problem with the motor. I needed to hook up my low pressure pump to feed the aftermarket high pressure pump. My mate Angelo had also sent me some ECU and ignition packs for me to try. It's a new boat, and straight off the bat, boom, cracked 83 mile an hour, and the boat was starting to get very unstable and sketchy, and is living on the edge of blowout. So Shane, he's reached out to me. He said he had a nose cone lower at home, so I've sanded that back and had that welded on. I'm just prepping the surface, and then we're gonna bog it. I'll also drill and tap into the water pump here to get that happening. It's just gonna be a lot of sanding, bogging, sanding, painting, but it's Thursday. I literally got this on Tuesday and got it welded last night by my mate. Could have it ready for the weekend, but I don't want to rush it. But I am gonna rip in and have a go, and that's where we're at. When it's all said and done, we're going to crack some real numbers this time. It's dark outside and we're still going. So we've got the first coat of the bog on. It's metal bog, but it has fiberglass in it as well, turbo. So we've just applied the first coat of that, button up the holes there. Obviously we still got to tap in for the water pump, and what I've done is I've put some silicone down in that cavity there, because as the guru, my friend Roscoe that drives for Maritimo, told me in the past, sometimes if you bog those water pickup cavities there, ideally you want to weld them, but if you bog them up and you put silicone down in there, that's going to limit the water that does go down in that cavity, pushing the bog out after time. So little tip from the old gurus, I think that's pretty helpful. But yeah, so that's the first coat on both sides. I'll give that a light sand and then we'll skim over it again tomorrow after work with the second coat and make sure it's Mickey Mouse. I've just got a little bit more sanding to do on some little low spots there. I've drilled and tapped into the water pump. That was a bit tricky, trying not to get too close to that seal. It turned out all right, and I haven't fully tightened that up yet. I'll put some thread tape in there and adjust it, but I'll just finish up the sanding on this nose cone, and then we'll hit it with some Mercury paint. This stuff sticks like shit to a blanket, so it's expensive, but it's worth it in the long run. But yeah, not far off. I've just swapped out the steel reeds. We've got all our carbon reeds in now, so we'll get that manifold back on and it all buttoned up, and we won't have to worry about steel reeds getting eaten anymore. Now we've got the carbons, and I've just finished priming the nose cone. Die grinded the holes on the front of the bob's lower just to give it a bit more flow, and then we'll hit it with some black paint. I mean, it's not perfect, it's not showroom condition, but it's going to do the job. trim up and it'll only trim down. Trim button's still not working. Had something go on. Hopefully I can get on the plane. Like always, Boatz in the old fashion. My trim pump stopped working, something electrical, but I didn't really get to play with it. But oh well, back to the drawing board once again. So here we are. Another week has gone by after last time we dropped in and my trim relay stopped working because of some dodgy electrics. I've rewired that up. We've jacked the motor up so it's 35mm below pad. And yeah, hopefully this is the last of all my dramas and the boat's going to be operating where it should be from the start. So that's where we're at. Going to do a run up the Broadwater. I'll chuck a camera on Chris's boat just there, the Chance, and I'll chuck a camera on mine and just can come along for the ride. we didn't break no new PBs. When I had them other ECU and ignition packs on, they were pretty rich tuned packs, and I've put the standard ones on now, but when I had the rich packs, I did turn my fuel pressure down a bit, so it was picking up and dropping off a little bit. So I might, next time when I drop in, bump my fuel pressure up a bit more and see if that helps the tune a bit better. But other than that, we enjoyed another problematic free day on the water. Let's just quickly, I couldn't end the episode there where I did because it was incomplete. I didn't have the end result that I wanted. I wanted to have a happy ending, probably a bit more happy than you would at your local Asian massage parlor. After installing that aftermarket fuel system, I've come home, I pulled all that off, reapplied the original VST fuel pump system, and went over it, double checked it again, just trying to get the motor run as good as what it could standard trim, and I still couldn't. And I looked over the motor, and the only two things that I didn't or haven't replaced yet was, one, the map sensor, and two, the TPS sensor. So my mate Cole had a spare motor, and he lent me a spare TPS sensor, map sensor, sorry, and TPS sensor. So when diagnosing problems, you only want to change one thing at a time. I know it's a long, drawn out process, but then that way you can cross them off your checklist individually. And like I said, Cole lent me a map sensor. I replaced that there, and then I dropped the boat back in the water, and boom, it's running like a dream. It's running like it should have been from day one. Straight away, I've hit personal best numbers, and it's a whole new boat, and I have to learn to steer it again. It's that great. So I'm very pleased after all this drama to finally see the light at the end of the tunnel and come out through it, and be able to hopefully just bring you more content of, you know, boating and not so much dealing with problems. So if any of you's experienced the issues that I have, probably pays to check your map sensor. It's a cheap alternative and fix. And while I've got yous here, it is winter now in Australia, and you can grab yourself a Boatz in the hood hoodie. They come in black, they come in white, they come in pink. Choose whatever you want. And the good thing about them is, like, if you're walking the dog like Sooty here and you forget to bring yourself some shit bags and your dog does a dump on your neighbour's front lawn, the best thing about this hoodie is you just go like this and keep walking. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Appreciate all your support, watching. But that concludes another episode for Boats in the Hood. So thanks again for your support and sticking around. Woo!